dear friends, and a warm welcome to the Sunday check-in session, a half hour of Dharma, reflection, and community connections. My name is Audrey, and I'm from Sydney, Australia. If you're a new member of our community, please accept our wholehearted welcome and know that if you're unsure or have any questions about our practices and topics, we'll be here to help. And if you're a regular, well, welcome back. It is customary in Australia to begin any meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land. So in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we walk, study, and reside, the Wadi Wadi people of the Dharawal Nation, and pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. I also pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are. The Sunday check-in sessions have been developed by our Communities of Practice team and the entire community. While we are not a problem-solving group, these sessions aim to provide space and to develop a reflective practice in response to change. Guided by humanistic Buddhism, we would like to cultivate our practices and build memorable friendships. If you've been following along, you'll know that we've just completed a little 3-week dive into compassion with Jonathan. Today, Liam Carver is going to ask us why in an exploration into true intention. Please welcome Liam.
All right, thank you, Audrey, and good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. As usual, we'll just start with a nice meditation to settle in. So I can invite you all to just make sure you're comfortable, find a nice space where you can be upright and feel safe. And when you're ready, you can just close your eyes gently if that feels all right for you. And just start to become aware of however you are in this moment. Maybe you're a little bit tense, a little bit anxious, maybe a bit excited. And just allow yourself to feel that in your body, however it presents. And start to feel yourself just resting on the chair or in your bed, wherever you are. Start to feel that sense of tension or anxiety or excitement dissolve as you come into the present moment, a nice sense of calm. Feel that turn into relaxation from the top of your head, maybe coming down your face, relaxing your neck and your shoulders. Your arms relax all the way out to your fingertips. And relaxing your back all the way from your shoulders, down your spine, all the way down into your hips. And now relaxing your chest and your stomach, your waist, both of your legs, all the way from your buttocks down into your feet, all the way out into your toes. And just feel the ground below your toes. Feel a nice sense of stability and calm. And feeling calm and open in your body, you can direct your attention to your breath for a moment and just breathe. No other intention other than to just breathe. Noticing that even just a few little moments with a focus on your breath makes you so calm, makes you so clear. So I'll welcome you back into the present moment here. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, and maybe even smile to the screen and everyone on it. So you probably feel quite nice, after a bit of meditation. No thought other as to why. Just nice to be. So my topic today is titled Wisely Selfish. Now that's a bit of a contentious topic, especially given that we've just come off the back of a deep dive into compassion. But I'd like you to just consider why we're so compassionate. So we spent the last 3 weeks doing quite a bit to develop compassion. And if you've been following along, and even if you haven't, you'd probably agree that it's pretty common knowledge that compassion is great. So naturally, we'd aim to be as compassionate as possible, perfect bodhisattvas, perfect compassionate beings, just as good as Guan Yin herself. But in spending all this time actually just trying to benefit others all the time, what's really going on? Being such a busy bodhisattva working for the sake of all sentient beings, do you have time or even energy to look at what's happening inside of you? So I'd like to ask you what's really going on. Sure, it's easy to say, I'm cultivating compassion for the sake of all sentient beings. But if you look deeper, why are you really cultivating all of this compassion for others? Is it a way for you to be a good Buddhist? Is it a way to create an identity as a compassionate and caring person? Is it a way to avoid having to look at the other parts of yourself? Maybe compassion just feels really good. So as Jonathan quoted for us last week from Shantideva, the foremost in compassion, if you will, all the happiness in the world arises from wishing others to be happy. It turns out that's true. Research into the neuroscience of compassion actually supports this perspective from an evolutionary standpoint. Neurobiological studies have revealed two parts of compassion. The first involves, that worry and the concern when someone is suffering and this overall negative effect in your brain. And the second, where we actively try to relieve suffering for someone, actually promotes personal psychological well-being and increased cooperation, trust, and tolerance. So even from a basic evolutionary perspective, compassion is really useful. We are social beings, and of course, if we help each other, it's just going to be a whole lot better for us as individuals and as a species. As Venerable Master Xing Yun wrote in his letter, An Honest Revelation, no one can exist solely by themselves. Everyone must help and respect one another, coexist and thrive together. Pretty wise, right? Even the Avatam Saka Sutra says, if one wishes to become a Buddha, first be of service to others. And that's what we're all here for, right? So maybe being compassionate is really in our own best interest. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama certainly thinks so. He says, we are self-centered and selfish, but we need to be wisely selfish, not foolishly so. If we neglect others, we too lose. We have to support others. We can educate people to understand that the best way to fulfill their own interest is to be concerned about the welfare of others. So Buddhism is a wisdom tradition, and we all came here because we wanted to get rid of our suffering and be happy, right? And it's quite likely that this compassion that we're developing came a little bit later when we learned and experienced more. We became a little bit more wise, saw the suffering of others, and wanted to help. So maybe if we can accept this reality of our own deeper selfishness that we all have, we can use it for the good that we're so desperately looking for. And by helping others on their way, maybe as a collective, we'll all benefit. So with that, I'd like to leave you with two questions that you can ask yourselves and reflect deeply on. Why do you personally cultivate compassion? You might like to think of the examples I mentioned before about identity as a Buddhist, but what is it that really drives you? And has this true intention changed over time? Were you compassionate to begin with, and was that about other people? And now that you've come into Buddhism and done some self-reflection, is there another reason? So have a think about these, talk about them in the breakout groups, and I'll hand over back to Audrey to coordinate.
Thank you so much, Liam, for such an enriching inquiry. And now we'll be placed in groups of 3 or 4 to share and discuss. In these discussions, we recommend you to spend some time getting to know each other and then discussing the questions. There'll be some Zoom notifications to guide you, but feel free to go along with the flow of your own discussions. Our sessions are guided by metta, which is unconditional love and kindness for all sentient beings. Let's use these breakout sessions to express and receive loving kindness to and from one another, and take time to pause, share, and listen. We'll also ask you to share some of your findings with the larger group at the end of the breakout session. So now let's go to our breakout rooms for rich and nourishing discussions, and see you all back in 15 minutes.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Hope we all had some very compassionate and enlightening discussions. As usual, I'll invite you all to type your thoughts into the chat box about what we just discussed in the breakout groups, any extra thoughts you might have. And our lovely poster team will collect them all for you and send them out in a beautiful poster midweek. So just get typing. In our group, we actually spoke about a lot of things. Compassion as a journey, where it may start as one thing, it may start self-directed, or it may start directed purely at others. And then over time, we start to become more self-compassionate, or we start to become more or less compassionate, or maybe more wisely compassionate. And we definitely get some more insight into why we're doing what we're doing. We also talked about compassion needs to extend to everyone, including ourselves. There needs to be a balance, a pretty wise balance, and an understanding that, as we all know, you can't pour from an empty cup, and you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. And it really is true. So that's what we talked about. The compassion definitely comes naturally, but it does change over time with causes and conditions, of course. So Priscilla says, when I reflect on the times I think I'm helping, I realize I gain so much in return and am actually the one being helped. Thank you, Priscilla. That's another thing we talked about. Ling Ling mentioned that compassion is something that is given and received, and you need to be open to both, so there's no burnout. Nothing's one-sided. So keep your thoughts coming in the chat box, everyone. Ming Fu says, today's topic reminds me of the Heart Sutra, non-discrimination, and our Buddha nature. Very nice. So everyone keep typing. We'll have time after the session to go into the plenary and discuss this at great depth, don't worry. So yeah, keep typing, and I'll hand over to Audrey now to close the session.
Thank you so much, Liam. We really hope the check-in session was helpful to you, and we hope you experienced the unconditional love and compassion of this community. But for anyone who might be experiencing a greater need than what today could meet, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us on the email shown on the slide, and you can also reach out to the professional organizations on the screen. Before we announce next Sunday's facilitator, just an announcement about an upcoming event next week. Our very own Venerable Jue will be speaking online this Wednesday on disorienting the conversation on Buddhism in the West, exploring with the University of the West who and who is not included in the category of Western Buddhism. This talk will be held at Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Wednesday, 11 a.m. at Australian Daylight Savings Time. Registration will be shared in the chat. And then next Sunday, we'll be introducing a new facilitator as we discuss the nature of intergenerational learning. Stephen will be the first speaker in our series and presenting on life as an elder. We are also seeking interested facilitators for the other generations in this series. So if you're interested in participating and are between the ages of 30 and 70, please contact us via the chat or at email@thebpep.org. As we check out today, let's recite the dedication of merits together to send love and compassion to whoever is in need.
Let us now dedicate the goodness of what you have done to all living beings. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our gratitude and humility give rise to great vows.
Thank you, Liam, today for your generous sharing. And thank you, Venerable Drewei, for being our IT master behind the scenes today. And thank you, everyone, for joining us and simply being here. We'll start our plenary shortly, so please stay around if you have time. Otherwise, we'll see you all again next Sunday at 11 a.m.